question before you sum up with your supplementary, if any.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I will allow my fellow senators to ask questions. Mine will come at the end of our session. And please don't forget my last two questions.
Senator Tuche, you cannot direct the chair, so the chair knows what to do and when.
Just
I have in my dashboard
just a reminder
from
Thank you,
Senator Boni Halwale. And members, be cognizant of the directions I gave earlier on about time. I will exercise that right when the time allocated for this particular question is consumed fully.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to agree with the minister that just to give a general question, a general answer for the whole country is ambiguous, and yet we want to be specific. Mr. Speaker, would the minister help us? We have locations and sub-locations where the interviews have already been done. And some of them date as far back as 6 to 8 months. Amongst them, we have the Assistant Chief of Malinya Sub-Location in Kakamega South, also called Ekolomani Sub-County. Shiseso in the same place, and many other such sub-locations and locations in Kakamega County, and I know it applies to the rest of the country. Could you direct in how many days starting from today the decision will be communicated to the successful applicants?
Honorable CS, respond to that bit.
Honorable Speaker, Mr. Speaker, sir, I would commit for the specific locations that the Senator for Kakamega has asked, and all other locations and sub-locations where interviews have taken place, the appointments will be done within 90 days from now. 90 days maximum. And Mr. Speaker, if I, for a second, I can explain one of the reasons why it sort of takes some time after the interviews is for us to be able to get the security reports, because the offices of chiefs and other administrators are sensitive offices, and normally we require a security report to go, to come and be triangulated with the results of the interviews. But in 90 days, in all locations and sub-locations where interviews have taken place, the appointments will have been done, and the chiefs or assistant chiefs, as the case may be, will be in office.
Thank you, Honorable CS. I will allow Senator Medhu John Muhia, Senator Alex Mundigi.
Bwana Spika, swali langu kwa waziri wa usalama. Bwana waziri, tunajua umefanya kazi nzuri sana. Miaka mingi hatunjawahi kuona ile kazi mtu kama waziri amefanya kazi ile umefanya. Na tukiendelea hivyo, serikali yetu ya Kenya Kwanza kwa hii kipindi ya miaka 5 itakuwa imeendelea vizuri. Kwa sababu tunajua hata wale watu wanaendesha magari kwa barabara saa hii, sisi wenyewe tunafurahia, hata wezi wanakuogopa. Na pia hata wale watu walikuwa na rusa mawe wanakuogopa. Kwa sababu ulisema hakutawahi kuwa na maandamano tena. Na sasa tunaelekea vizuri. Swali langu ni mambo ya Turkana. Tunakuomba sisi Senator Masinani tulitembea huko, na kwa kipindi ya miaka mingi kule ni mambo ya vita. Wanafikiria mambo ya vita, na sasa imekuwa hiyo ni njia hata wale viongozi waanjivishia pale, na kaunti ya Turkana kwa kipindi ya miaka 10 wamepatiwa bilioni 130, na kaunti zingine imepata kama Embu imepata bilioni 6, kwa hiyo ni bilioni karibu 50 kwa miaka 10. Na tukienda pale hakuna pesa ilikuwa inaonekana, lakini mahali wanajivishia ni mambo ya security. Kwa uerevu yako na kuuliza kama pale sio nguvu itatumika. Kama unaweza tumia hiyo elfu yako unataka kutumia Kenya, ndio tuweze kuona tuokoe watu jimbo la Turkana. Tunakuomba uone kama inawezekana utumie makanisa na viongozi, uone kama unaweza koa jimbo la Turkana juu ya ukatuzi wakati huu. Asante Bwana Waziri.
Senator, before I allow the CS to respond, Senator Mundigi, I had earlier on indicated that when given an opportunity, we ask the CS supplementary questions which are related to the main principal question that had been asked. I do not know whether the question you have asked is in any way related to the original question, other than the fact that it, of course, goes to the CS. But I will allow the Honorable CS to spare a moment to respond or comment on that question. Honorable CS, take the mic.
Honorable Speaker, I agree with the Senator for Embu that while we have spent some time in kinetic operations, which is the use of force to try and secure peace in Turkana and other counties that have similar insecurity issues, it is now the time for us, besides the use of kinetics, to move into peace building, which includes the use of stakeholders to build sustainable peace for Turkana and other similarly situated counties, but also at the same time, Cabinet has approved a special program for counties which have suffered insecurity, especially in North Rift and Upper Eastern, so that we can also begin opening those areas for development as a way of long-term sustainability of the efforts that the kinetic operations are brought in these areas. And therefore, I agree with the Senator that beyond the use of force, we need peace building, and we also need to open these areas for development as a way of sustaining the prevailing situation and permanently resolving insecurity in these areas. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable CS. Senator William Kipkemoi-Kisang.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish to thank the CS Elgeyo Marakwet County along the Valley. We've had insecurity for a while, and with the intervention of the CS, peace is restored there. My question, Honorable Speaker, is I hope the units, the locations and sub-locations that the CS has promised that within 90 days they are going to advertise the positions will include also units that were cassetted 2017, and up to now, some areas already they advertised, but areas within Elgeyo Marakwet County, I have close to about 15 units, locations and sub-locations. Since 2017, they were cassetted and nothing has happened. So I hope, CS, you are going to promise us that within the 90 days, those units within that side of Elgeyo Marakwet County will be advertised.
Thank you, Honorable Cheptumo. I will allow the CS to respond, and though I have got an additional 3 more members, I will, after the CS responds to that particular question, ask Honorable Chute to ask his supplementary question, considering the directions I gave earlier on. I know Senator Cheptumo, Senator Murango, and Senator Muma, you've got burning questions. The CS is still here for the next 1.5 hours plus. Ensure that your question fits into the subsequent questions. I will prioritize you, but so that we comply with the directive I gave, I will allow the CS, and then shortly thereafter, Chute to ask the supplementary question. Cheptumo, I will prioritize you as well as Muma and Murango in the subsequent questions. Thank you. CS, proceed.
Mr. Speaker, sir, it is true we have a number of administrative units in quite a significant number of counties which were gazetted in the past. They have not been operational, mainly because of budgetary constraints. But we have also, as an administration, made the decision that all administrative units, being sub-counties, divisions, locations, and sub-locations that were already vetted by past administrations, we have made the decision to operationalize them, and already have made a commitment that the outstanding sub-counties that have been operationalized will be operationalized within this financial year. The same will apply to divisions, locations, and sub-locations, and priority will be given first to areas that have suffered or are suffering acute insecurity. But in the long term, we will operationalize every administrative unit that has already been gazetted, because it is a decision of government which had been done after public participation, and we cannot go back on something that the public had already petitioned government and government had acceded to. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable CS. Senator Chute, if you have any supplementary question, I will allow you a maximum of 2.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to, if you will allow me, I want to give one of my questions to my neighbor here, if that is okay with you. And I will not even ask a question. I want to tell our Honorable CS, there is this issue of Ilret sub-county. I know the process has been being fast-tracked. Honorable CS, when and how soon do you think Ilret will be announced or given that sub-county? Because the people of Ilret are anxiously waiting to get their sub-county for the first time in their life. Thank you very much for the hard work you are doing. We are impressed with what you are doing, and we congratulate you and support you 100%, Honorable CS. Asante sana kwa kazi unayofanya. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Chute. Honorable CS, could respond to that supplementary question?
Mr. Speaker, sir, the issue of the Illiret sub-county was raised the last time I appeared before this House. Immediately, I left the chamber. I directed that the public participation, which is the requirement of the law, be done for the purpose of initiating the procedure of creating the Illiret sub-county, which is one of the most deserving cases that I know of. That process has already been completed. I want to commit to the House and to the Senator for Marsabit that Illiret sub-county will be operationalized within the next 60 days, and there will be a DCC and heads of department in place.
Thank you, Honorable CS. Senator Tumo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me as the chair of security in this house to very sincerely thank our CS. I really appreciate the efforts he's making to secure our country. And Mr. CS, I want to assure you that the House will continue to give you the support. But on the issue of assistant chiefs, Mr. Speaker, the chiefs and the assistant chiefs are the lowest unit of administration in our country. And they play a critical role in terms of administration and peace and order in our society. Mr. CS, could you consider public participation in the recruitment of these officers? I'm saying so, Mr. Speaker, because sometimes the chiefs we employ or assistant chiefs we employ are people who sometimes are not really able to discharge their functions well. If the public is given a chance to participate in the recruitment process. We can have the best chiefs and assistant chiefs in the country. Bwana CS, would you consider, as a matter of policy perhaps, as we proceed, that the public should be involved in assisting the ministry in the employment of chiefs and assistant chiefs? Just a policy issue, which in my view, Mr. Speaker, can really help us to have the best administrators on the ground.
Honorable CS, could you respond to that as well?
Mr. Speaker, the recruitment of chiefs and assistant chiefs is governed by the scheme of service, which is administered by the Public Service Commission. And while they are in service, we normally do continuous training and reorientation so that the public interest element is maintained. Nevertheless, we have no problem looking at how in the future the involvement of the public can enrich the process going forward. It's something that we are open to considering. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable CS. That brings us, honorable members, to the close of question number 25. Would like to invite Senator Chute to proceed to ask the CS question number 26. Senator Chute, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, once again. My question number 26A, what has occasioned the delay in the recruitment of National Police Reservists, NPRs, in Marsabit County and the wider northern frontier counties? Question B, could the Cabinet Secretary indicate the plans in place to ensure prompt recruitment and deployment of NPRs, and also state the projected timelines for the same? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Chute. Honorable CS.
Mr. Speaker, sir, in answer to question number 26 by the Senator for Marsabit County, I would like to inform the House as follows, that it is true that there was or has been a delay in the recruitment of National Police Reservists in Marsabit County. The reasons for that delay, first, at the time when the request was made by the leaders of Marsabit, we had exhausted the budget for last year, and we were not able to accommodate that request in last year's or last financial year's budget. Number two, at the time when the request was made, many residents of Marsabit County had migrated because of the devastation of the drought that had affected this area, among other arid and semi-arid areas of our country, and therefore it was not practical to carry out the exercise. I am happy to report that the budget issue has been resolved, and therefore this financial year we can accommodate that request, perhaps in a modest way, because again, we will give priority to the most needed parts of that county. And number two, now that normalcy has returned and the residents are back in the county, that is the second reason why that process should be able to commence. I therefore plead with the Senator for Marsabit and the House to give us 30 days to report progress on this matter. Honorable Speaker, in terms of the rest of the counties, the deployment of National Police Reservists is as follows. In Samburu County, the government has recruited 460 National Police Reservists. They have already been trained and deployed since November 2022 to date. There has been an additional recruitment of 150 NPRs who were recruited, but they have not been trained, they have not been deployed from the same county. And partly we have realized that the recruitment of NPRs has a bearing on the security of these regions, and that explains partly why Samburu County, in most parts, have experienced some kind of stability, among other reasons. Mr. Speaker, sir, in Elgeyo Marakwet County, the government has recruited a total of 153 National Police Reservists, and they will be trained. Again, we could not do the training because of budgetary constraints, but we'll be training them this financial year and deploying them. Baringo County, the government has recruited 200 National Police Reservists. They have been deployed accordingly. In West Pokot County, the government has recruited 205 National Police Reservists, but they are not yet, the process is not complete. The training has not been done and the deployment has not been done. Again, this financial year, we have been able to secure resources to complete that process. In Turkana County, the government has recruited 140 National Police Reservists, and they have been trained and deployed. And there has been a further request of 400, which was put on hold in terms of training and deployment because of budgetary constraints. Finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, in Laikipia County, the government has recruited 419 National Police Reservists. They have been recruited, trained, kitted, and deployed. And again, the significant security situation in Laikipia could be attributed significantly to the presence of NPRs. Therefore, for the outstanding counties, we'll expedite. And for the information of the House, we have also deployed NPRs in other parts, not the parts where the operation is ongoing, including Lamu. And we are reviewing again the numbers for Lamu and Northeastern this financial year. I submit.
Thank you, Honorable CS, for the response. Senator Chute, will you also take the option of asking your supplementary question prior or after the members who have got questions to the CS?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll ask one question now and the other one later on. I would want to ask the Cabinet Secretary, what measures have you put in place to forensically identify ballistic bullets that are being tested when it comes to civilian firearms? As you are aware, Firearm Licensing Board are checking each gun that belongs to a civilian. They know by identifying what gun has released what bullet. What measures are you going to put in place so that guns for NPRs are also registered under the same licensing board? I think you understand what I'm asking. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable CS.
Mr. Speaker, we are strengthening our ballistic testing unit, and as we speak, the Firearms Licensing Board is carrying out a nationwide operation on firearms and ammunitions. And if they have not reached your corner, they are on the way, because we need as a country to mop out illegal firearms and the misuse of firearms from our society if we have to secure our country. Honorable Speaker, related to NPRs, The overwhelming majority of National Police Reservists continue to do a great job in securing the communities where they have been deployed. However, during the past 1 year, we have identified 2 gaps. One is on supervision of NPRs, and therefore we are making arrangements to strengthen the supervision and oversight of National Police Reservice so that the local officer commanding station and other commanders of the National Police Service can account for every firearm and every bullet, every ammunition that is in the hands of NPRs to avoid a situation of misuse. So the issue of oversight over the guns that we issue the NPRs is something that we will tackle very stringently going forward. Secondly, and lastly, Honorable Speaker, we have had isolated cases of misuse of firearms. They are few, but the damage is devastating. We've had like 2-3 cases, and we have made it clear that when NPRs misuse firearms, we shall disarm them immediately and prosecute them. We have already taken measures on 2 cases, actually 3 cases, 1 in Samburu and 2 in Elgeyo Marakwet County, where unfortunately it was discovered that a raid which had taken place on livestock, there was evidence that a gun assigned to a police reservist had discharged the bullet that had killed the victims of this crime. But by and large, 99.99% of National Police Reservists are doing a great job every day. As the House will realize, the raids have decreased, and the House will also realize, even in the unlikely event of a raid, the rates of recovery have increased, including this weekend, when some livestock has been recovered from Isiolo, which was stolen from, I think, some places in Igembe on Friday. By Sunday, the entire herd of 81 livestock was recovered and returned to the owners. So to answer the question in a nutshell, is to say we will increase supervision of NPRs and accountability of the firearms and the ammunition they have. And number 2, we shall hold accountable and punish NPRs who misuse the firearms they are given because they will be spoiling the reputation of a very good asset for our national security. I submit.
Thank you, Honorable CS, for that very specific response. Members, I will allow only, and I mark only 4 members to ask supplementary questions because we need to keep time. And I will start with Senator Murango James Kamau.
Asante sana Mstahiki Spika kwa kunipa hii nafasi. Kwanza nishukuru waziri kwa kazi nzuri anayofanya katika idara ya usalama, kwa sababu inahitaji moyo, tajriba na weledi kukabidhi vishindo vya usalama nchini. Swali ningetaka kuuliza ni kwamba katika majukumu ambayo inapewa jeshi la polisi katika kulinda usalama katika sehemu tofauti tofauti, mara nyingi kuna wale jeshi la polisi ambao wanatumwa pale, na mimi katika mwaka moja nadhani Kirinyaga tumezika watoto kama 8 hivi ambao wako na chini ya miaka 27. Nilikuwa nataka kuuliza waziri, kuna uwezekano ya kwamba wale askari jeshi ambao wanatumwa ni makurutu ambao wana uzoefu wa kutosha katika mazingira wanayopata, na ndio maana wanapoteza maisha? Na kama wamepotesha maisha, kama kuna ridhaa yote ambayo inalipwa, inatosha kwamba inatosha familia ambazo zinaathirika? Kwa sababu familia nyingi ambazo ziko na watoto katika askari jeshi pia wengi wanakuwa wanatarajia kusaidika kutoka kwa ile kazi watoto wale wanafanya. Alafu mahali kuna vita kama vile Turkana na kule jamii zinazozana kwa mipaka na mambo kama hiyo, kuna uwezekano ya kwamba kuwekwe mbafa ama kuwekwe sehemu ambayo ya polisi watakata kama watalima, ili waweze kukinga jamii kupigana, kwa sababu kukiwa na bafa nzoni katikati, hata kama atafanya kilimo kama kule Katili, niko na hakika kwamba yale mashambulio yatapungua. Asante sana Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Murango. Honorable CS. Honorable CS, yes, I'm asking you to respond to Senator Murango.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is true we have lost officers in the line of duty. And some of them have been lost in the counter-terrorism efforts. Others have been lost in the counter-banditry efforts. Others have been lost in the fight in urban crime. Just this weekend, we lost an officer, I think yesterday, who, in the company of two other colleagues, had cornered a dangerously armed thug. They managed to neutralize the thug, but the thug shot 3 officers and one of them succumbed yesterday. Last year, we lost a total of 58 National Police Service officers countrywide in all these dangerous operations. As to the question whether we send recruits to dangerous missions, the answer is no. We have reserved the deployment of officers in complicated security operations, those that involve the fight against terror, bandits, and other dangerous criminals, to elite units within the National Police Service. So it's not about age of the officer. It is the training of the officer that determines the deployment. Because you can have a very experienced officer, but has no exposure, has no training to handle sophisticated crime. So the age of the officer should not be the problem. You can have a 27-year-old, but they were recruited very early after Kiganjo or APTC and taken to serious counter-terrorism training. It could be 24, 25, but that is the best we have for that effort. So the age should not be a worry. What should be a worry for us as a nation is the loss of our officers in the hands of criminals. I have committed on behalf of government that we shall go out of our way to minimize casualties on our side. So far, in Operation Maliza Uhalifu, we have not had many casualties. We've not had casualties, so to speak. The solution is the 25 billion police equipment modernization program, which has already been completed and the deliveries have started trickling in. And I want to assure the country in the coming weeks and months, we will turn around the story around terror. And it will be impossible. It will be difficult, if not impossible, for criminals to be able to fell down our officers. We'll make it extremely difficult. But as happens in war, casualties are part of the issue, but we'll minimize them going forward. Better equipment, which includes air equipment or air assets, personal protection equipment, and also the increasing use of unarmed vehicles, aerial vehicles, UAVs, commonly known as drones, to minimize physical contact. Going forward, we will turn around the story and we'll have less officers being felled by the fire of terrorists and dangerous criminals.
Thank you, Honorable CS. I would like to remind members that that question, I exercise my discretion to allow the CS to respond. And going forward, members, ask your supplementary questions in the context of the original question to facilitate quick and direct responses from the CS. So let us be cognizant of that directive. Senator Muma.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to ask a question to CS. The Honorable CS Professor Kindiki, welcome to the Senate, and congratulations for the good work that you're doing. Honorable CS, we are very hopeful in the country that with you in that office, we will have the proper rights approaches to internal security, and we can already see that happening in the way in which you operate. Honorable CS, in the matter of the deployment of security officers, be they reservists or police, or even the chiefs and sub-chiefs, my question is to ask why you have not used the approach that we have seen you use. We have seen you accompanied by political leaders from regions when you visit these regions to try and breach the peace and deal with security issues. My question is why you have not used that approach in dealing with the matter of the insecurity in Sondu. Honorable CS, I ask so because the insecurity in Sondu has happened now 3 times. It is an insecurity issue that can actually is needless. And we believe if you involve the national leaders together with yourself on the ground and look on the issue of the deployment of the police and the local administration, you will be able to address this issue much better, because that region not only affects the 2 communities, but it affects many, many other communities and other counties. So, Mr. CS, when will you take leaders from the region with you to deal with that matter once and for all?
Honorable CS, could you take the answer to that question?
Mr. Speaker, sir, in response to that supplementary question, I would like to inform the House that it is true. In some places, we've been involving political leaders when it is appropriate. But it is also, we carefully do it after assessing the situation so that we don't ask those we suspect are a part of the problem to join us to look for the solution. And I know, and I'm not imputing any motive on any leader around that area. I know there has been a lot of requests from the leadership of both counties, led by the majority leader of this House, that we must allow political leaders to sit down and help in the generation of the solution. I have had a similar request in the clan conflict, inter-clan conflict in Mandera, but we have requested the leaders to hold a bit until we do a bit of homework before we call them in. In fact, yesterday I was in Sondu, incognito. I spent the day there. And I agree with Senator Muma. It's a serious matter, but it can be resolved. It is not really complicated. And therefore, going forward, in the next 2 weeks, I'll be requesting the leaders from the 2 counties to help us. By that time, we'll have known who to invite and who not to invite. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable CS. Majority Leader.
Now, Is it because I've been mentioned, Mr. Speaker? And I hope I will cut the stack that will be found worthy to appear before the meeting. Mr. Speaker, I want to appreciate the CS for finding time to come to respond. As a majority leader emeritus who used to sit on this chair when I first came to this house, it is always good to have him back in the house and respond to us. Mr. Speaker, the question that I wanted to ask has been ably responded to after being asked by Senator Catherine Muma on this issue of Sondu border issue, which we feel that we need to put behind our back, Mr. Speaker, because I know that it's something that is of concern to the two counties of Kericho and Kisumu. So I will pass the opportunity to other senators who want, because the question I wanted to ask is what Senator Muma has asked. But nonetheless, I celebrate the CS for the good work that he's doing. It's very reassuring to hear of the equipment that he's procuring, Mr. Speaker, on the behalf of our officers. Many times, Mr. Speaker, we only speak of loss of lives in reference to civilians, but we forget that police officers are also human beings. Many of them are brothers, sisters, fathers, and relatives. So it's quite reassuring to hear the CS speak of the modernization program that they are carrying out to ensure that we mitigate and reduce to almost zero loss of life by police officers in the course of their duty. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Majority Leader, for your compliments and comments to the Honorable CS. We have done, Honorable Members, 25 minutes to this question. I would, yes, 25, which is beyond the 20 that we had given. Senator Chute, your last very short supplementary question so that we close on this and move to the next question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to agree greatly with the CS on the NPR issue. I know they are doing a very good job, and I agree with him. And also they are supplementing heavily and greatly in helping the police officers in northern and upper eastern part of Kenya. What I wanted to know from the CS, Mr. Speaker, is what measures have they put in place to support the NPRs on insuring them as personal insurance, and also giving them some small token as a salary from 15 to 20,000 shillings. If they have that kind of initiatives, I would want to know, and how is it going to help our NPRs? Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable CS, kindly respond.
Mr. Speaker, sir, in response, I would like to inform the House that the NPRs continue to do a great job in securing the communities from where they come from. At the moment, we give them a token of 5,000 shillings a month, which has been described as inadequate, and we agree it's inadequate, but because of budgetary constraints, it has not been able to review that allowance forward. We are actually fighting to have it released timeously, because sometimes it has been taken 2-3 months before it is released, before we can even thinking of reviewing it upwards. But I'm a great supporter, as the Security Minister, I'm a great supporter of enhanced allowances for NPRs. We are also looking at the permutations to see whether we, this financial year, can put the NPRs on NHIF medical cover so that to improve on their welfare.
Thank you, Honorable CS. Honorable members, that brings us to a closure on question number 26. I'm going to call upon Senator James Murango to ask question number 32, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Proceed, Senator Murango. We are running.
Yes, we can proceed. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, again, I want to thank you, the CS, and I'll ask one question whether the cabinet secretary is aware of the kidnappings that have been happening along Makutano Sagan Highway in Kirinyaga County for the last 2 years, where 11 children has been reported missing without a trace. And B, could the cabinet secretary provide an update on the status of investigation to the cases which have been reported at Sagana, Kiamashiri, and Wanguru police stations? And C, what measures is the government taking to strengthen security in the area, to end kidnappings, and bring to book the perpetrators of the Heinous Act? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS proceeds to respond to the question by Senator Morango.
So Speaker, sir, in response to question number 032 by the Senator for Kirinyaga County, I would like to inform the House that for the last 2 years, which is the period for which he has asked for information, we have had 6 cases of missing persons who are claimed to have been abducted by their relatives, or rather the claims have been, reports have been made by their relatives that they have been abducted. And the following 6 have been reported at Kerogoya, Mutito, Kagumo, and Kiamariri police stations since November 2021. They include the following. 1, OB 25-2301-2023 at Kerogoya police station, Susan Waithera, aged 15 years, left her mother at a salon and to an unknown destination, but was reported to have resurfaced on 25th May 2023. Number 2, the other case which has been reported is OB number 31-18-12-2022, which was reported at Motito police station. Peter Mogo, aged 40 years, he left home to an unknown destination and was later found dead. And from the examination, he was a victim of a fatal hit and run road traffic accident. Number 3, OB number 16/23/11/22, reported at Kagumo police station. Emily Wawera, 15 years old, left Kiarida Secondary School at about 17:00 hours, but did not arrive home. She came home 2 days later, although it was reported as an abduction. The next one, number 4, OB number 25/25/07/2022. Again at Motito police station, Anne Wangoi, aged 18 years, left home to see a friend within Kerogoya Township, but failed to return home. She was later traced in Nairobi on 29 September 2022 and escorted back home. Number 5, OB number 21/28/8/2022, reported at Kerogoya police station. Mase Wanjiro Irungu, aged 17 years, left home for Kaderi Market to buy items, but disappeared and was later traced in Nairobi and escorted back home. Finally, the 6th one, reported as OB number 12/09/11/2021 at Kiamashiri police station. Bless Ann Wangeshi Maina went missing on her way back from school. The victim has never been traced to date, and the case is still pending under investigations. Honorable Speaker, the government takes abduction very seriously and is therefore inviting any person who has information that can assist the police in the investigations to volunteer the same, and the same will be treated with confidence in order to bring accountability to the outstanding cases which I have listed here and others across the country that fall in the similar category. Honorable Speaker, the government is employing or has employed the following measures to enhance security and bring to book the perpetrators of these abductions and disappearances. One, we have intensified both foot and mobile patrols along the highway. Along that highway, we have increased the patrols. B, we have expedited the investigations into all reported cases of missing persons. 3, police are working closely with members of the public to engage reporting of missing persons in time. In other words, we are investing in better police-public relationship as the solution to ensuring that cases like this are investigated and culprits are arrested, because the public holds the key to successful investigations and arrests. D, sensitizing communities on the importance of sharing intelligence and prompt reporting whenever there is an incident. And number 5, we have revitalized community policing, a Nyumba Kumi initiative in the area in order to enhance information sharing. And finally, members of the public are continuously being sensitized to be sensitive to security. We must sensitize our members to be conscious of their own security, not to go to places unless they are sure about the environment, and to report suspicious persons likely to be criminals. I submit, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable CS. Senator Murango, you have any supplementary question? Give him the microphone, clerk.
Asante tena mstahiki Spika, kwa maswali ya ziada tauliza maswali mawili tu. Waziri, mnamo mwezi wa Februari mwaka huu kuna ndugu wawili ambao waliuliwa na ukaleta taarifa katika hili bunge, ndugu wawili waliouliwa kinyama pale, na kutoka wakati huo hatujasikia kulifanyika vipi. Kwa hivyo swali langu ni je, wale watu wanaouliwa, ndugu Harisa, ndugu wa damu waliouliwa, uchunguzi umefika wapi? Kwa sababu hatujasikia toka Februari mambo inafanyika. Na swali langu lingine la mwisho, kwa sababu sitaki kukuambia mambo ya wizi wa ng'ombe ambao unaendelea Kirinyaga. Kuna jambo lilifanyika kule Kirinyaga kuhusu kiongozi mwanamke wa bunge la kaunti la Kirinyaga ambao alishambuliwa na watu wanaojulikana, wengine ni wafanyikazi katika kaunti ya Kirinyaga kama polisi wa manispaa. Lakini toka siku hiyo wale watu bado wanarandaranda kule, wanakenjeri viongozi kule. Katika uchunguzi wa yale maneno, kwa sababu ni mambo ya aibu, umefika wapi na tunatarajia lini kwamba hatua itachukuliwa kwa wale watu? Asante sana, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS, could you respond to the supplementary questions?
Mr. Speaker, sir, in response to the supplementary questions by Senator Murango, I would like to request for 7 days to file a written response, one on the status of investigations on the two brothers that the Honorable is Murango is pursuing. I would plead that that request be made in writing, so that the names of the deceased, so that I can give a status report in 7 days. Number 2, also with regard to the attack on the women rep for Kirinyaga, I would also plead for time to file a written response to the Senate within 7 days.
Thank you, Honorable CS. Senator Dulo, you had requested to have a supplementary question. I want to ask you to proceed and ask the CS.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'll ask quick questions since I had requested earlier on the 3 questions, which will be very fast. Number 1, CS, congratulations for the good job. I know you are up to task. We've served in this house together twice. you are up to task. So, Mr. Speaker, what I wanted to ask, number one, on the recruitment of NPR, and again, Mr. Speaker, on the recruitment of chiefs. Mr. Speaker, and I know the PS is aware, there is too much politics around the recruitment of chiefs and also NPR within the counties. Is there a way the CS can work it out that the recruitment of NPR and chiefs are done in a transparent manner so that everybody can see the process is very transparent without politics? And actually, the people who are causing problem in these two processes are politicians, so that politicians are locked out completely and the process is transparent and members of public are satisfied with the whole process. That is number one. I know you are smiling, you should be able to work out a strategy on that. Finally, Mr. Speaker, it's the issue of police who have overstayed in hardship areas. I know I've been in security sometimes back, and the policy has been once you have served in a hardship area for 5 years, you are removed to go to other areas. But it has, these days, police officers take even more than 10 years to stay in a hardship area. Until they have familiarized themselves with the community and the work they are doing, they are not even taking it seriously. So can the CS implement the policy on the 5-year rule so that the police officers in hardship areas, they are actually transferred to other areas and others are posted to those areas? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Senator Dula. Honorable CS, could you respond to those questions?
Mr. Speaker, sir, it is true that is a policy on how long an officer should stay in one's position, in one station. But for a long time, that policy has not been implemented. It has now been decided that going forward, no officer who has served for more than 3 years should remain in the station they are serving. The signal went out 2 weeks ago, the day when the task force on police reforms presented their progress report to the president. And now it's part of the policy reforms that we have initiated, and we are expecting, we have given the police command a maximum of 60 days to make sure that all officers countrywide who have stayed for more than 3 years, not 5, must be transferred. Number two, on the question of involvement of politicians in the appointment of chiefs and assistant chiefs, I agree. And I hope that the proposal by Senator Dulo is in sync with the proposal by the chairman of the Senate Security Committee, because the senator for Baringo, who is the chair of the Security Committee, recommended that there is need for public involvement, public participation in hiring of chiefs. But I don't think public involvement means involvement or meddling by politicians. It just means that the politicians, like everybody else, can also give their views, but the decision remains the decision of government. And I know what the Senator Dulo is pursuing is the actual meddling, where a politician wants to decide who becomes a chief. That is wrong. What we should encourage is public participation, including the participation of leaders, because they also have views, but the decision should perhaps involve more people. So those are some of the policy proposals that we are willing to look at. But on the 3-year transfer is mandatory. In fact, the directive by the government is that any officer after the 60 days who continues to resist or for whatever reason does not move to a new station, the salary will be stopped. It is that serious. And for those doing sensitive operations, normally we move them after 1 year because the kinetic work and operations they engage in are extremely demanding. After 1 year, we rotate them so that they serve, even if it's within the same sensitive operations, but in a different station every year. But for general police duties, 3 years, you must move. If you don't move, we'll stop your salary.
Thank you very much, Honorable CS, for those responses. Honorable members, we will defer question number 11 and number 12 in the absence of Senator Kinyua. Similarly, we're going to defer question number 45 in the absence of Senator Lomenen, and I will ask Senator Chute to proceed to ask question number 54. Question number 54, Senator Chute, proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would start with the question number 54A. How many individuals have lost their lives as a result of terrorism attack in Kenya since the tragic bombing of American embassy in Nairobi by Al-Qaeda terrorists in 1998? Question B, Honorable Speaker, what measures has the government put in place to boost counter-terrorism efforts and safeguard the lives and property of Kenyan citizens? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Chute. Waziri, proceed to respond to the question by this Senator.
Mr. Speaker, sir, in response to question number 54 by the Senator for Marsabit, I would like to inform the House that the 1998 bombing of the Embassy of the United States of America in Nairobi occurred on 7th of August, 1998, around 11 a.m., resulted in the death of 213 Kenyans and 12 citizens of the United States of America. About 4,500 other persons were injured in various degrees. Our police agencies, the DCI, together with international agencies and American security agencies, have been involved in investigations, in the consequence of which arrest of several suspects have been done in Kenya, while arrests have also been done outside Kenya. One of the main suspects was Harun Fazul, who has never been arrested. The investigations reveal that this attack was perpetrated by Al-Qaeda, a group calling itself Al-Qaeda, and the planning was done in Khartoum, Sudan. The main planner in the attack was Mr. Harun Fazul, a citizen of the Republic of the Comoros, who had obtained a Kenyan national identification card fraudulently, and his acquisition of the Kenyan ID had been facilitated by government officials who were later charged in court. Mr. Speaker, sir, on the morning of the attack, Harun Fazul, together with others, drove a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device, VBIED, into the US Embassy, causing the above named or mentioned fatalities and serious infrastructural damages. The motive of the attack was to hurt American interests in the region, as they also attacked the American embassy in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. It was orchestrated by Al-Qaeda terrorist organization led by Mr. Osama bin Laden, who is now dead. Sir Speaker, sir, since 1998, US embassy attack, approximately 500 lives have been lost through terror attack in the country. This includes the 213 fatalities of the 1998 attack, 201 Kenyans and 12 Americans, 67 people who died at the attack at Westgate Mall in 2014, the Garissa University attack in 2015 that led to the death of 148 persons, the Dusit attack in 2019 in Nairobi that led to the death of 21 civilians and 5 attackers or 5 suicide bombers. And then the other numbers is a collection of the various civilians and members of the National Police Service and the Kenya Defense Forces who have died as a result of IED attacks in the war against terror in northeastern Kenya and Lamu County. Honorable Speaker, the following measures have been put in place to boost counter-terrorism efforts and safeguard the lives and property of the people of Kenya. First, the government has set up the Anti-Terrorism Police Unit, ATPU, which continues to do a fantastic job in thwarting the threats of terror on a continuous basis. The government has also established the National Center, the National Counter-Terrorism Center, to deal with research and also identification of terror threats, and also to deal with radicalization and countering radicalization, which is the main recipe for terrorists and the breeding of terror. We also have set in place a joint terrorism task force. Likewise, Kenya has a very robust financial reporting center whose mandate, among other things, is to track inflows and outflows of financial resources into our financial system. And occasionally, this financial reporting center has helped us to detect finances destined to the financing of terrorism, and we've been able to apprehend those resources. The government has also set up a modern Coast Guard, under the Kenya Coast Guard Services Act of 2018 or 2015. And therefore, the Coast Guard is helping us police the Kenya's territorial waters, the internal waters of Kenya, and that helps to keep terror, which is transported by sea, at bay. Other than that, the government has established the Transnational Organized Crime Unit at the DCI and the Asset Recovery Agency so that resources that are frozen on suspicion of being destined to finance terror are seized and forfeited to the Asset Recovery Agency. The government has also established a personal identification secure comparison and evaluating system in immigration services, PISES, which has worked very well. And we are in the process of even upgrading the PISES system with a modern API stroke PNR, Advanced Passenger Information stroke passenger name record system, including other upgradings that we want to do at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport and other main ports of entry to ensure that we keep terror at bay and we can be able to detect the movement of terrorists even before they start their journey into Kenya from wherever they are. This is what the PNI, the API stroke PNR will do. But at the moment, the PISES system has helped us big time. The other measure that we've taken, Honorable Speaker, is continuous training and deployment of specialized form units within the National Police Service. The main unit being the Special Operations Group, SOG, which continues to do a fantastic job in the fight against terror. And increasingly, we shall be using more of the same specialized units in the fight against hardcore banditry. And that is what has helped us stabilize places like Baragoi, which were notorious for banditry for a very long time. And going forward, the deployment of these specialized units will go a long way in eradicating banditry, even as we fight terror. We actually are of the opinion that the evolving forms of banditry are moving towards the definition of terrorism. And we've already registered successes in Baragoi and the Kolowa Bridge area between Tiati and Elgeyo Marakwet. And we'll apply more of these specialized units even in the fight against banditry, chronic banditry. We also have the QRU, the Quick Response Unit, GSU, ASTU, which is the Anti-Stock Theft Unit, and others. And generally, those are the measures. And finally, we have enhanced since the enactment of the Security Laws Amendment Act of 2014, multi-agency collaboration for improved efficiency so that the NIS, the National Police Service, the National Intelligence Service, even the Kenya Defense Forces, all institutions of our national security, whether internal security or the defense of our country, must work together, support each other, irrespective of their very specialized mandates. They must share their competencies and work towards resolving the issue of terror in our borders. So we are making good progress so far in terms of institutional arrangements, in terms of legislation. The following are the legislative measures that has helped us to be able to control the threat of terror. One is the Proceeds of Crime and Anti-Money Laundering Act, which was lastly amended 1 month ago. Those amendments, some of them, will have great positive results in terms of the fight against terror. And very soon, we may have to designate a number of organizations that we believe are suspected of financing terror. We will, of course, follow the legal procedures for designation, and we hope we'll be able to do that in the next 30 to 60 days. We have the Prevention of Terrorism Act, POTA, which has also helped us big time to be able to even detain hardcore suspects of terror longer than necessary to be able us to process them within the law. We also have the Security Laws Amendment Act of 2014, the amendments to the Anti-Narcotic Drugs Act, amendments to the Refugee Act, amendments to the NGO Act, amendments to the Firearms Act, Cap 114, to control the proliferation of small arms and light weapons, amendment to the Kenya Citizenship and Immigration Act, to make it impossible for foreigners to infiltrate our country and cause terror. We have also enhanced local and international collaboration and partnerships through the multi-agency task force, especially through the Joint Terrorism Task Force. We have enhanced information sharing mechanism. We have enhanced financial regulation by the Central Bank of Kenya. We have also enhanced the deployment of modern technology in policing, including the use of Integrated Command Center, that is the IC3, the use of drones increasingly, especially now with the police modernization, equipment modernization program, and also facial and motor vehicle recognition capabilities. So, Honorable Speaker, the American fatalities and Kenyan employees of the US Embassy affected by the bombing incidents were compensated, while no such consideration was given to the other Kenyan. And I know I'll be appearing before a committee set up by this House on this subject, I think in the next few days. So if I can be spared, because already this House is seized of the matter, and I've already given them a date when we'll appear and for interrogation on this matter of the Kenyans who were never compensated after the bombing in 1998. Allow me as I end just to add one extra matter, which is not part of my written statement, which is our continuous engagement in the fight against terror. Terror poses an existential threat to our country. We have all seen what has happened in the Middle East. One small gap in the fight against terror can have devastating effects. So we are not leaving anything for chance. We are concerned with the situation right now in Northeastern. I want to promise the country I'll spend more time in Northeastern in the coming days and weeks, because we must bring back the situation and contain the situation that is evolving in that part of our country. The same with Lamu. And on Lamu, I think I had promised to be there from today, but I had to honor this House. I know I'm appearing again before many other committees of the National Assembly tomorrow, so I may have to postpone my journey for a while as I attend to these other obligations. But I can report to the country. We will fix the situation in Lamu. The terror that is being visited on the people of Lamu is unacceptable. And before the end of this week, in the next 2 days, the Ministry of Interior is going to publish those suspects that we consider to be the chief planners and those who bear the greatest responsibility in planning, financing, and orchestrating the violence that has visited Lamu County in the recent weeks. And we will be calling on the people of Kenya to give us information, and we will reward information. We will reward financially